Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. This story is, this article about this story it's a new article, but the story is a little bit older. It's about these extinct cave lion cubs that were discovered in a cave in Siberia, of course, dead, but preserved because of the cold. They are still extinct. But if you look at the pictures, these things have been amazingly well preserved. It's incredible. And they've been dated at about 12,000 years old. So, yeah, I guess, not quite as cool as that that mammoth that they found, which was close to 40,000 years old.
Right.
That was also very well preserved. These are more well preserved and also very cool. So you can look at the pictures. You see the fur. You see the facial features. These are a couple of cubs, like I said. They were young. And I guess work has begun to kind of, work on the genome here. And people, of course, are already talking about cloning. But, that's... I don't even think that's necessary. But, Dave, did you look at the pictures? The
pictures are quite compelling. I encourage people to check them out. I would be interested to know if there have been any changes over 12,000 years in this species of animal, right? I mean, that would be interesting to see. Have we seen evolution over the 12,000 years since this animal died?
Yep, no doubt. They are going to look for causes of death. They are also going to look for remains of the mother's milk in their stomachs to try and help determine what adult cave lions ate. I think they whatever animals they could get their hands on, or paws on, if you will, around that area.
Makes it tough when you don't have thumbs. We know that.
Yes, it does. I'm noticing my audio is still a little bit low, but yeah, like I said, this stuff will hopefully be fixed by Monday.
Naturally.
Yeah. And the cubs were found in the Abiysky district of Siberia, which is the same area that mammoth was discovered, the really old one. But anyway, look at the pictures, really cool stuff. There's got to be something out there that is even older than the mammoth that is well preserved that we haven't found yet.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I'm very curious to see what that is. I'm really hoping one day that underneath a ton of this ice, there will just be like a well-preserved... I'm looking for something that's at least hundreds of thousands of years old, if not millions. I mean, it's conceivable, isn't it, that in some very dry, very cold place on the planet, that there might be a preserved dinosaur of some sort, Dave?
I don't know. Don't you think we would have heard more about that?
Continents have shifted around and things were different climates. And
so it could now be somewhere that's really cold.
But back then, it might have already, decomposed, rotted away, whatever.
It's an interesting idea. I've mentioned this, I'm reading Johan Harari's book, Sapiens. And that is, it's fascinating. And he talks in there about the large mammals that used to exist. People can see me, right?
Yeah. No, they can't. Now they can.
The large mammals that used to be on Earth. And they've also, he describes this like very big sloth that there used to be and a lot of these interesting things. And talks about why the big mammals have gone away. And it always has coincided with the arrival of humans in that particular area. It seems to always happen that exact same way. And, it does make me, we see a lot of species going extinct. The unbelievers in climate change say, oh, animals are always going extinct. Scientists, on the other hand, say, yeah, but they're going extinct now at an unprecedented rate. And imagine another 10,000 years from now, what animals that to us are, oh yeah, that's of course that's an animal that exists. They will be, oh, when these existed 6,000 years ago.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. Dave, speaking of things that are really old.
Right.
Microsoft Windows has just turned 30. Now, that doesn't sound very old compared to a 40,000-year-old mammoth.
Sure.
Or maybe even a dinosaur that's, 1.5, 2 million years old. But in the world of technology, 30 years old is quite old. And I don't think that an elephant you might see today in Africa compared to this 40,000-year-old mammoth we found, I think that comparison is about the same as Windows as we have it today to the first version of Windows. Maybe even not enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We were just talking about this yesterday, actually. A friend of mine works for Microsoft, and we were talking about, have we upgraded to Windows 10? And Lewis and I have not. We're still on Windows. I think right now, Windows 7 Professional is the best bet around for the sort of modern version of Windows. And we talked about when Windows XP was out, and that was the good one. And then Windows Vista came out, and it was totally abortive. And people very quickly who had the idea of doing this went back to Windows XP and stuck with that. And then we went all the way back to Windows 3. But this is like the old Windows back in 1985.
Yeah. And so when we're talking about operating systems, maybe it's more like today, I don't know, I am Windows 10, and perhaps a single cell organism was
DOS.
Was DOS. Yeah, maybe that's a more appropriate comparison. But yes, 30 years ago, November 20th, 1985, was the first version of Windows, and this coming, of course, right after DOS. Now, I was a big fan of DOS.
Sure.
DOS was a great operating system.
Love DOS.
Yeah, you didn't have many errors and failures and breakdowns with DOS.
Loved running command line inquiries, of course.
Yes, and that, you remember, of course, that little beeping sound we could make through that piezoelectric speaker on the motherboard or whatever it was. That was great. Now, we were talking a little bit last night about those original versions of Windows, and back then, the second version of Windows, huge improvement, right? The next version of Windows, huge improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, huge steps in how well this system worked. And then eventually you get to a point and things went backwards.
Oh, yeah.
And what would you say was the first version to do that? Was it Windows Millennia?
Well, okay, so there was Millennium after XP?
I think it was.
Yeah. So I think certainly when we went from XP to Vista and Millennium, that was a disaster. But wasn't Windows 95, which was before XP, initially bad? I mean, Windows 95 was the first one where Windows started appearing more like the Apple operating system. Yeah. And I don't know that it was that good, but my memory may not be serving me well here.
Yeah, but I do know, of course, that there were such huge improvements, and then it started slowing down. While technology is still increasing at an exponential rate, our operating systems don't seem to be.
Well, the thing I find annoying about Windows is computers are so much faster now than they used to be, but it still takes Windows a long time to load. I mean, the big change that we've seen is solid-state hard drives. My laptop now has a solid-state drive, and I hit power, and I'm in Windows doing stuff within probably 20 seconds, 15 seconds even.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very quick. But other than solid-state hard drives, it's like you get a much faster computer, and then you get a new version of Windows, and then it still takes a minute and a half to load, or whatever the case may be. Not that a minute and a half is a long time to wait. I understand people always email me. They say, David, there is virtue in not needing everything instantly, blah, blah, blah. It's just an interesting thing that computers now versus 20 years ago are so much faster, yet Windows still takes a while to load. Who knew?
Yeah. Here's some interesting information about Windows 1. Windows 1 required 2 floppy disks, both containing 200, no, it needed 2 floppy disks. I don't remember how big those were, but, and I mean data-wise, not size-wise, like 3.5-inch floppy disks. No, that was probably the bigger ones.
The 5 1/4.
Those were the 5 yeah. 256 kilobytes of memory to run and a graphics card. If you wanted to run multiple programs, then you needed a PC with a hard disk and 512 kilobytes of memory. And as things are being banged around in a room nearby, you wouldn't be able to run anything with just 256 kilobytes of memory with modern machines. Of course, we know this. It goes on to tell us that this is, Dave, what you have in even the crappiest cell phone being manufactured right now is like so far advanced
Oh,
compared.
everybody's walking around. If you have a smartphone, you're walking around with a veritable supercomputer at this point. I don't think there's any way around that.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. And so yeah, look up some pictures of Windows 1. It is wow. My dad had one of those really old computers. It was just the screen was one color. You ran DOS off it. It used the really big floppy disks.
Yep.
And back then we were amazed by that. It's incredible how things change, and what it takes to amaze us now is quite a bit different. Dave, Thanksgiving is coming up. Do you first want to tell people what we'll be doing for that break?
Show-wise, you mean?
Yeah, show-wise.
Well, we'll have a new show Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be the Thanksgiving break, and there will not be new shows, and shows will resume the following Monday, November 30th. And it will also provide an opportunity to continue making tweaks and improvements at the studio. Yes,
indeed. Now, Thanksgiving, much like Columbus Day, I think for some people doesn't sit well.
I really don't care about Thanksgiving.
But has this conversation ever come up at the Thanksgiving table with your family or anything like that?
Well, my family is not American, so we don't do anything. So there's really no conversations. But, with other families I've spent Thanksgiving with, this year I'll be spending it with my girlfriend's family. No, it still doesn't come up. With Columbus Day, do I bring it up?
Would you?
No. I mean, I think everybody around is progressive. They all get it. This is a holiday that is connected with even though you hear about, actually the Pilgrims and the Native Americans did have some Thanksgivings together and it was all really cool and stuff. I mean, we're talking about a really bad situation where either by violent killing or by bringing in disease, there was a mass killing of the native population. It's all connected to Thanksgiving. It's all connected to Columbus Day and the whole thing. So yeah, I get what you're saying. The one thing I like about Thanksgiving is that, and I get there's a connection to the Puritans and the puritanical lifestyle, but it's not overtly a religious holiday, and that I like.
Right, yeah. Like Halloween, Halloween, I guess, kind of a pagan holiday.
Yeah.
But, Christmas and Easter also derived from pagan holidays.
And Easter's a weird one because it's on Sunday, so it's not even really a holiday. Although I guess if you're very devout, the Friday, there's Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, right, which are weekdays, although I don't know exactly when those are and if you take a day off.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I do want there to be an official national holiday for the Monday after the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Because Dave, that makes perfect sense. Everyone watches the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think this is a good idea.
What?
I get, people watch the Super Bowl somewhere around, 28% of the country watches the Super Bowl. I understand that, which is not everybody. It's about 28%. It's under 1/3.
I think it's more every year.
And, so the population is bigger every year as well. But I think to reward a corporatist business, although they were technically a nonprofit, but they're not going to be anymore, that is as entertaining as it is to watch, and as much as I like the Patriots, very deceptively functioning in a way that is very damaging to the health of the players and creating, college football and high school football and chronic traumatic encephalopathy and blah, 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 to say, we love what you're doing so much that the Jews have no federal holidays. The Muslims have no federal holidays. The only one is Christians. They get Christmas. And there's Easter as well, but that's on a Sunday.
The point is to have holidays that are non-religious.
Yes, but if it's going to be non-religious, connect it to something like, it's the winter solstice, right? It's December 21st or whatever. This is the shortest day. Or it's the summer equinox. This is the longest day of the year. That's now a federal holiday. Or it's the day at which some portion of I don't even know, some sky, some stars is visible. Don't reward this business that is making tons of money on the backs of people having traumatic brain injury for the duration of their lives. Don't give that a holiday. There's many other lower hanging fruit first.
All right. Well, David has spoken. Thank you, Dave. I still want it to be a holiday because it's here and it's going to stay. And
it's insane.
People should not have to wake up, hungover and feeling gross and go to work on Monday.
Hey, you know a simpler solution to a federal holiday for the NFL?
Make
Start
it
the
on
game.
Saturday?
Start the game 2 hours earlier. Make it on Saturday. A million solutions. I mean, just start the game 2 hours earlier. You resolve it. Instead of ending at 10:45, it ends at 8:45 on the East Coast, 5:45 on the West Coast. Everybody goes to sleep. No holiday. Everybody's fine.
All right, that works too. Either way.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.